Okay, so now the backdrop looks the same, and really it's getting later at night, as you can see my shadow, but this is a part two. Don't want to overload you, but certainly want you to have as much information and conversation from me as possible, particularly in the early stage. I won't do as many later unless they are required by you. So let's talk about me and then school social work. So you all bravely introduced yourselves to me. What I want you to know about me is that I was a former school social worker for the city of Virginia Beach Public Schools, as well as for the city of Chesapeake, but more as a school social work consultant. I was doing school social work for Chesapeake while I was also already a school social worker in Virginia Beach, and as I was deciding to go into higher education. So how did all of that happen? Well, I got my master's at Norfolk State University in social work. And just like many of you, I did my practicum placement in the Virginia Beach Public Schools. I was hired before my practicum even ended, which was very fortunate. And then I continued my education while I was in Virginia Beach Public Schools and started my doctorate into higher education administration. So when I was hired by Norfolk State University, it was not first as a professor. It was as an associate vice president for student affairs. And I stayed in that role for about 8 years, I would say. And then I became a vice president for student affairs. I was at Virginia Union University for several years. I never relocated, so that was quite a bit of travel, but instead, I loved it. And then to be more stationary at home, I accepted a professorial job in the School of Social Work. So I have some roundabout ways in terms of social work. One of you all mentioned that social work is a degree for which you can utilize in every area, and that is so true. I was encouraged to complete my master's in social work by the then now former city manager for Portsmouth. He had his master's in social work, and I thought, and you're a city manager? But yes, that's possible. Those skills are just very generalizable across disciplines. So let me assure you that you'll be able to use what you're learning here in many aspects. It's not just special education, though it is tethered to special education in many cities. It is really a behavioral aspect that we're looking at. Oftentimes, school social workers are the information at the table because sometimes teachers and those second language instructors, the hearing, the OT, the PT, they don't understand how important the person's home life is and affects their ability to learn or not. And that is critical. That person and environment is something you'll have to teach and talk to. Your voice is very valuable at the table when they're making decisions about students. And of course, you know that there is a disproportionate number of Black, brown skin minority students that are usually in special education, have disciplinary actions that are very imbalanced from those of their peers. And that is also where your voice comes in. That is the social justice in the public schools and in private schools as well, if they have a school social worker. So when you're looking at your benchmark assignment, which is being done in segments throughout the semester, you are looking at an area that you're particularly interested in when it comes to something that is not fair, something that should be afforded everyone, but there seems to be a problem in one particular area. That is something of your choice. When you're doing your research in the school analysis, some of those things may then be very apparent to you when we're looking at the numbers and making the comparison. Your textbook will also help you because we are talking about areas of concern when it comes to schools. So, what are some of the concerns in the school? Um, when students are able to get to school, the concerns then become bullying. The concerns become being able to even eat if they have a balance. Um, the concerns then become learning, like everyone else is learning. To get to school for some people is difficult because poverty may interfere with that. Um, Care for their smaller siblings may be a concern. Parents' work schedules may interfere with students being able to get adequate sleep to be able to get to school to learn. Um, there are so many areas of concern, and those are the things that a school social worker listens to as they interview their parents. You all are interviewing someone that you know that may have children or are guardians, and that will help you. Because what you're trying to do when you're at the table is say, are these areas contributing to the difficulty that this child is having? We try to be intentional about saying child and not kid. Kid is a baby goat. So we're talking about someone's precious being. And when school social workers are involved, people hear the word social worker, and sometimes that causes them to be a little bit more restricted in what they say because the assumption is that someone is going to take your child away. So you have to be intentional about telling them that you are their advocate. Your school social work report will speak to the entire committee and the school confidentially about your child and how you perceive your child, right? Yeah, that's a role, and it's a pretty big role. Um, Usually, there are just not enough school social workers for the number of students in the school. Okay, so be mindful of that. All right. So now, when we're talking about your additional pieces that go into the benchmark, we're talking about research. And I know, I heard you all when you said, oh, research is not the class. But social work is an empirically based discipline. So we operate out of what has been researched. We operate by knowing the numbers and the data. So you're not going out and conducting research. You're using the research from the library, from the periodicals and the journals that will address whatever school problem and issue that you may see there. I think I only have one or two people that are assigned to school, so that may make it very different. If you're assigned to school and you know of an issue there, certainly you can use that issue and how you want to improve it. But you have to be able to justify everything. So you want to be, if you're talking about bullying, narrow it down as much as you can. Are we talking online bullying? Are we talking bullying only in the school? Are we talking bullying as it relates to violence? If you can narrow it down, that also helps them. It helps you just to be better able to do your research. Now, in your syllabus, I included probably towards the very back a way for you to be able to use terminology that will help you to narrow down your subject matter. So it's the Boolean operators. So that helps you to be able to narrow down or expand your research or your terminology so that you can get to the research that you want to get to. And so this will not be something that you will not be able to use later. And some of you may have already conducted research in certain areas that you want to segue to the public school sector or to the students. And that will be fine. So let me give you a quick, shorter video that will then tell you a little bit about what you're doing. So your abstract, where you're kind of given an overview and a summary of what you are presenting to the audience, not to me. You don't use personal pronouns. Look it up if you're not familiar. No I, we, they, us. It's not personal. This is research. So your abstract that you submit first may be different than the one that you submit later because you will have much more research and information afterwards. So we're just getting an idea of what you're thinking and what you've preliminarily researched, okay? Your methodology, after you've stated what the problem is and you think about how you want to repair this, what programs or what policies can be offered that will improve these areas. So that means look for a policy. If we're talking cameras on the bus because of violence that is uncontrollable on the bus, then look for the policies that's related to that, already established. If you want to look at a policy that's not in Virginia, please do so. Reference that. That would be better suited for here. Change the policy. Take these words. If the policy stated this, this would allow whatever you're justifying by the research, okay? Make sure that we're justifying everything through the research. And so we're looking for whatever data that you could include in your methodology from what someone else has already done. What surveys have already been conducted that would add to what I am presenting as this problem area for repair, okay? Your limitations that you talk about in your research may be something simple as if you're indicating that a certain survey would be applicable for parents, but then the limitation is that maybe the parents of this school have not been involved in the school to a high degree, then that may be a limitation that you want to talk about in terms of what you are proposing to be done, okay? In your syllabus, I left a proposal. It's about 2 pages. It's not related to your or any assignment. It's just so that you can read, and that may help you to develop some ideas in case you are having any difficulty. Okay, so now that is a quick part 2. Hopefully that will shed some light from part 1. And I look forward to hearing from you and reading your research. Thank you so much.